Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at something specific, a luxury watch.
Right,
But our goal isn't just to tell you about the watch itself.
right.
It's more about peeling back the layers, understanding the story, the history, really the why behind it.
Exactly.
We've got the Laurent Ferrier Sport Auto 79 on the table today. It's a recent release, came out to celebrate the brand's 15th anniversary.
That's right. And the sources we're looking at, mostly a detailed review, they give us a really good look at the piece itself, but they also reveal something quite surprising. This very modern, very high-end watch is actually directly inspired by a single moment,
Okay.
a moment that happened over 40 years ago, well before Laurent Ferrier, the brand,
Yeah.
even existed.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. That moment involves racing.
Yeah.
A pretty surprising podium finish at a huge endurance race back in '79. And, well, the sources basically suggest this was the seed, the actual beginning
Yeah.
of what became this whole renowned watchmaking house.
It's fascinating. We're going to really unpack that connection.
Yeah.
Because seeing that direct line, from a specific achievement in a totally different field, motorsport, to the creation of this very specific, very luxurious object today, it's quite something.
Okay, so let's maybe unpack the history first. Laurent Ferrier, the man himself, known as a master watchmaker.
Well, absolutely. Comes from a watchmaking family, grandson of watchmakers. So it was definitely in his blood, you could say.
And he spent, what, 30 years at Patek Philippe?
Yeah, a remarkable 3 decades, worked his way up to technical director there, which is, that's like the pinnacle in horlogerie, the really complex top-tier stuff.
30 years at Patek. That's a huge career in itself.
For most, yeah. But the sources show he had this other passion running in parallel, something that seems, totally unrelated at first glance.
Right, because alongside this demanding job at like one of the most prestigious watch brands ever, Laurent Ferrier was also a semi-professional race car driver, a watchmaker and a racer.
Yeah.
How does that even connect to starting a luxury watch brand?
Okay, so this is the core of the story, according to the review we looked at. It all comes back to one specific event.
Le Mans 79.
Exactly. The 1979 24 Hours of Le Mans. Laurent Ferrier wasn't just there, he was competing. Part of a team with François Servanant and François Chusconi.
And they didn't just compete, they actually placed, right?
They did. Against pretty long odds, apparently they finished 3rd overall.
3rd place at Le Mans in 1979. That's a serious achievement in motorsport.
Huge. And the review really emphasizes this wasn't just another race for them.
Okay.
The review, and actually the brand's own press release for this watch, they highlight that after that 3rd place finish, it wasn't just about the trophy. They were also given watches as part of the prize.
Ah, okay.
And the story goes, it was this shared moment on the podium, this specific win, that years later, inspired Laurent Ferrier and François Servanant, his teammate, who's now his business partner, to actually start the Laurent Ferrier brand together. That was in 2010.
So the brand's origin story isn't the typical, watchmaker leaves big company, goes independent. It's actually rooted deep in this shared sporting moment.
Yeah.
That's quite a backstory, quite a prehistory for a brand that's known for these incredibly delicate, precise machines.
It really is. And it creates this powerful narrative, right?
Yes.
Suggesting that the same kind of drive, the precision you need for endurance racing, it has a parallel in the dedication needed for independent high watchmaking.
Makes sense.
And this new watch, the Sport Auto 79, is explicitly designed to commemorate that specific 1979 Le Mans podium.
All right, so let's pivot from the history then and look at the watch itself. The Sport Auto 79. How does this piece physically tell that story?
Okay. Well, fundamentally, this new model is a solid gold version of their existing Sport Auto line.
Call it gold.
Yeah, it's made entirely from 5N red gold. The case, the integrated bracelet, all crafted from this specific gold alloy.
5N red gold.
Yeah.
Remind us, what does the 5N signify for you?
Good question. So in gold alloys, the N numbers basically refer to the color. 5N gold has more copper in it than your standard pink or rose gold.
Oh, okay.
So it gives it this warmer, more distinct reddish tone. You're getting this very warm-looking, solid gold watch. Size-wise, it's 41.5 millimeters across, 12.7 millimeters thick. The review notes that's maybe a bit more wearable than some of their larger pieces.
Well, it's built to be, a sport auto, right? It can handle a bit more.
Yes, it's got 120 meters of water resistance, which is pretty respectable for this kind of luxury piece. And sapphire crystals front and back. That's the super hard, scratch-resistant glass.
And the back lets you see the movement inside.
Exactly.
Which, speaking of the movement, this isn't one of their famous tourbillons, is it?
Well, no tourbillon here. This is a simpler time and date model. The dial has a cream-colored opaline finish.
Opaline. That gives it a kind of soft look.
Yeah, a slightly milky texture almost. It ends up looking like this pale rose gold shade. The hands and the hour markers, which are applied onto the dial, they're 18K red gold too, matching the case. And they're filled with luminescent material, so they glow in the dark. Plus, there's a date window over at 3 o'clock. It's got this really distinctive, sharply cut bevel around it.
Now, the choice of red gold. The source had an interesting thought about that, didn't it? Linking it back to the race itself.
It did, yeah. So the inspiration is a third-place finish.
Right. Bronze medal territory.
Exactly. So the review suggests that the warm reddish hue of this 5N red gold might be a subtle nod to that bronze podium medal.
Oh.
But obviously using a much more luxurious, appropriate material for a brand like Laurent Ferrier.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
So it's not just gold because gold is luxury. It's got a thematic layer.
Precisely. And the review also points out they specifically didn't use classic yellow gold, which you'd associate with first place.
Right.
It feels like a very considered design choice, reflecting the actual achievement they're celebrating.
Okay, so what about the engine then? What's powering this Sport Auto 79?
Inside, you've got Laurent Ferrier's automatic caliber LF270.01. Caliber is just the technical name for the watch movement. This is their standard micro-rotor movement, the one they use in their time and date pieces. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour. That's 4 hertz, basically affects accuracy and how smoothly the second hand moves.
Right.
It gives you a 72-hour power reserve, which is great. 3 days off the wrist, still running. And it's built from 215 parts with 31 joules. Those aren't decorative, by the way. They're tiny synthetic rubies used as bearings to reduce friction.
And that micro rotor, that's visible through the back, right? That's a bit of a signature for them.
Absolutely. Instead of having a big weight swinging around covering half the movement, a micro rotor is much smaller, integrated into the movement design.
Right.
And on this watch, you see this solid 950 platinum micro rotor. It's held under this beautiful hand-finished bridge. It really is the star when you look through that sapphire caseback.
And they even tie the history into the movement itself, don't they?
They do. On this specific Sport Auto 79, the movement's plates and bridges have this really striking black zinc polished finish. Great contrast. Yeah. And you can actually see tiny engraving right there on the platinum micro rotor, commemorating the 3rd place finish at Le Mans.
That's a fantastic detail. Physically putting the history right into the watch's heart.
Yeah, really neat.
Now, speaking of integration, the bracelet is integrated with the case. I seem to remember the brand didn't always do integrated bracelets initially.
That's right, good memory. While their Sport and Grand Sport lines are known for that look now, the very first one, the Tourbillon Grand Sport, back in 2019, actually launched on a rubber strap. The metal bracelet version with that integrated design came a year later in 2020. But for this Sport Auto 79, yeah, the 3-link style bracelet and the butterfly clasp, that's the kind that folds neatly underneath. It's all done in the matching 5N red gold.
So if you compare this Sport Auto 79 to that original Tourbillon Grand Sport from 2019, the source draws quite a contrast thematically.
It really does. The review calls this Sport Auto 79 a flagrantly luxurious creation. Solid 18K gold, integrated bracelet, conventional time and date. And it presents this as the total opposite of that original 2019 Tourbillon Grand Sport. That one was stainless steel on rubber, but housed this incredibly complex yet hidden tourbillon movement.
Right.
Something that the source called the embodiment of stealth wealth.
Stealth wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the real value and complexity isn't immediately obvious. So this new gold piece is less stealthy, more openly luxurious.
Definitely.
And that, I suppose, brings us to the price tag. What did the source say this red gold model costs?
The official retail price for the Laurent Ferrier Sport Auto 79 is listed at $85,000 USD.
$85,000. Okay, that's obviously significant money.
Yeah.
How does that compare to their models with the Tourbillon?
Well, this is interesting. The review points out that the Sport Auto 79 comes in at less than half the price of even the titanium version of their Tourbillon Grand Sport.
Less than half, wow.
Yeah, and the source basically attributes that huge difference directly to leaving out the tourbillon complication.
Right, the complication being any function beyond just time date, or in this case, that complex anti-gravity tourbillon mechanism.
Exactly. And those are inherently very, very expensive to design, build, and finish to this kind of standard.
So you're paying for the solid gold, the high-level finishing, the brand pedigree,
Yeah.
but by skipping the most complex, costly mechanical element, the tourbillon, the price becomes, well, rather reasonable, as the source puts it, but only within the context of their very high-end world. Really.
Exactly that. It seems positioned for someone who really wants that traditional, undeniable luxury of a solid gold watch from a top independent maker, maybe isn't as focused on having the absolute most complex mechanics inside, and the pricing reflects that strategy, linking the technical choices to the cost.
So what we've really done here, I think, is connect all these dots. You've got the history, the watchmaker, and the businessman finding common ground in this high-pressure race. That very specific third-place finish at Le Mans in '79. And then seeing how that single moment is woven right into the design, the materials, even the movement of this modern, very high-end watch, the Sport Auto 79.
It really shows how a brand's origin story, even one that technically predates the company's founding,
Yeah,
how that can be the source, the inspiration for what they're creating right now.
absolutely.
And understanding that this, $85,000 red gold watch isn't just a fancy object, that it's actually a tribute to a specific moment decades ago and a third-place finish. Importantly, it adds a whole different layer of appreciation. It goes way beyond just the specs or the metal.
It really does. It shifts it from just being a product to being part of a narrative, doesn't it? A physical link to a defining moment. So maybe here's a thought for you, the listener, to take away from this deep dive. Think about moments of achievement or maybe significant experiences you've had in any field you've been involved in, even things that seem totally separate from what you're doing now, your current path or goals. How might those moments be secretly planting seeds for something down the line? What unexpected prehistory moments in your own life might be quietly shaping the future you're building right now? And what surprising thing might they one day end up inspiring?